Alright, so this video is going to be about uh, the one law that I found, the one rule, the one thing that ties everything together from my religion, lucidity, to the theory, Deus Ex Machina, to the constitutions, to the movement with the aliens, to everything that's ever happened to me in my past, and everything that's happening now, and everything that will happen in the future. All of it comes back to this acceptance or rejection of everything in reality, just in general. It sounds so stupid and so cliche and so simple, but this is really what ties all of it together, is this radical acceptance of existence as it already is, to the extent to which one accepts everything as already perfect, does not care at all, has no thought in one's head about what has happened or what will happen, but just accepts the present as it is without having any need or desire to change it. That's a very difficult state to achieve, but I have gotten there. It happened for just a few moments when I was in my late 20s, mid 20s. It was right around the same time that I met with the Mormon missionaries. And I had what I call, and I may be misusing the term, but I've always called it samadhi, is this acceptance of everything as it already is. And the way that I got there was, first I recognized that the laws that govern everything are perfect. And then I recognized that that means that all effects are perfect because they must logically necessarily follow from perfect causes. There must come perfect effects, and so then everything must already be perfect, and therefore, and this is the final thing that got it for me at the time, was the recognition that I don't need to do anything. I don't need to change anything. I get to just exist. I get to just be here and just, I don't know, just hang out, just be a part of it, just observe it and be in awe of it and experience it. But I don't have to change anything here. I am not compelled to change anything. And if you think about it, the government, we hold the government into account every time it tells us what to do, when it tells us to do something. If it's a draft, everybody intrinsically finds that to be evil. Now, we can call it a necessary evil or an unnecessary evil. I say it's unnecessary. But it's evil, and everybody feels that. When the government tells you you must do this thing, you're like, no, that's wrong. That's evil. I don't want to do that. I shouldn't have to do that. And that was what got Dr. Peterson skyrocketed into fame, was his rejection of Bill C-16 in Canada, which compels speech, that you must say that a transgendered person is whatever pronoun that they say that they are. And you must say that. It's not that you cannot not say it, it's that you must say it. And those are two vastly different things. To say that you are not allowed to say something is completely different than saying that you must say something. In the same way that if I tell you you're not allowed to do something, that's completely different from telling you that you must do something. So I can say, you know, you can't drink anymore because you're an alcoholic. But I can't say you have to go to rehab. You see the difference? It's not the same at all. It's completely different contexts. And so they're similar. And that's why people do this, where they confuse the two and they think that just because you can say you can restrict someone's actions, well, then therefore I should be able to compel their actions also. No, you can't. You definitely can't. And the only thing that you can restrict is the artificial restriction of someone else. So example, if I steal something from someone, it imposes my will upon the victim such that the victim doesn't get the choice to retain their lawfully procured property. And so I've taken that opportunity away from them. They don't have the right to own it anymore because I stole it from them. And so the remedy for that is that I have to make amends to the victim by giving it back and saying that I'm sorry and trying to make amends to make it better. It's not simply an act of reversing the crime, because no crime can be reversed. No act can truly be reversed. It's not possible to unblow a cloud of smoke. It's not possible to unsmoke a cigarette. It's not possible to unsteal something. It's not possible to unsay something. It's already happened. And so there's not really a way of compelling someone to do something unless they have compelled someone to do something else, or they have restricted someone from doing something. Now, the victim that I stole from is compelled to replace the thing that I stole, either with money or it itself must be replaced in as much as it can be, which it can't, because it won't be the same thing given back to them the way that it was before. It will have been already stolen from them. That's going to fuck with their head. They're going to realize that it's not as secure as they thought it was. They're not going to have as much faith that they're going to be able to retain this possession in the future. They'll have less faith in everything because of it. They'll have less faith in God. They'll have less faith in other human beings, albeit to a small degree. Yeah, it won't vastly change their life in most cases, but it does affect everything. It affects it only a little bit, but it affects everything. So if that happens enough times, no one's going to be able to shrug that off forever. You steal from somebody enough times, they're going to snap. Even though it only is a little tiny dent in their worldview, it's only a little bit of disintegration of their faith in humanity and the goodness of everything in creation. But if that dent keeps happening, it adds up and it becomes a whole. And so the whole thing, the whole reason that the Sams are here, the aliens, the whole thing about God and all religions and the meaning of life is faith. It's to have faith. And what makes God God is that God has a perfect and absolute, unwavering faith in all things. God causes it to rain on both the good and the evil equally. It doesn't matter in a weird way what you do. And Jesus really tries to hammer this home. He gives an example of, like 3 or 4 people that show up to work one day. And one of them shows up at sunrise, the next one shows up just after breakfast, the next one shows up at lunch, and the last one shows up right before they all go home. And how much should they get paid? And Jesus says you pay them all equally. And people are like, what the fuck is that? That's stupid. The last guy barely did anything. The first guy did almost everything. Their wages should reflect how much they labored. And Jesus tries to explain this to them using that or some other parable about how God makes it rain on both good and evil men alike and equally. And it's a really weird notion. Well, what that means, what I believe that Jesus is trying to get across with that, is that God is God because God loves everyone equally. God values everyone equally and infinitely. It's not that God says, well, yeah, you're great and all, but whatever, there's a million of them like you. No, God values you more than you could ever know or comprehend or value anything else. You think you value things, God values infinitely more than anyone could ever comprehend valuing something. There are no words for it. It's perfect faith. It's an absolute benevolence and love of everything, even the devil is loved by God. And that's something that gets lost, I think, all the time, is people have this weird notion that God hates stuff. God hates fags, and God hates the devil, and God hates evil, and God hates the earth, and God hates, everything. And it's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think that hate makes someone divine. If it did, Hitler would be a god. Hitler hated all kinds of stuff, didn't seem to solve much. Stalin hated all kinds of things, didn't see much remedying there. Jesus loved everything. That seems to be pretty helpful. Just saying, look around. That's how it is, man. We have to value things equally. We may not be able to value them perfectly equally all the time, every time. And we may not be able to give anything infinite value, but we can find some things that we really do treasure deeply. And that's important. That's part of the meaning of life too. Because when we value things, we have faith. And when we have faith, we value things, and they go hand in hand. And so that's what it's all about. That's what the Sams have been trying to teach us, is to have value of everything. And so they'll show us this weird shit, or they'll say something that's totally uncouth. And the reason isn't to insult us. Some of it is kind of to rock the boat and see if you capsize, in order to build strength and tough skin and, independence. But that's not the only reason that they do it, because otherwise they would just not say anything, because that's what the inevitable result of that would be. And so that can't be it, clearly. The reason that they say weird shit and quote unquote talk shit and all that stuff is because they're trying to get us to understand the opposition to what it is that we value at that time. They're showing us what the flip side of that would be, and that there's a validity in that. Now, we may not like that. We may not want to accept that. It might not make us feel very good, but that's the point, is that's what's wrong. It's not that they're saying something that's wrong. It's not the thing that was said that was wrong. It's the devaluation of that thing. It's saying that that thing shouldn't even exist, that that act shouldn't ever have happened, that those people don't deserve to live, that there's something wrong with what God did. And then when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, God already created all this stuff. Jesus redeemed it. And where do I fit in? I don't. I don't have to do any of that. I'm the audience. God and Jesus already did everything. It's already been done on the stage. We're the audience. We're just supposed to appreciate the show. We're just supposed to appreciate that all of this has already been done. Now, in order to get to a state, like at least near to where Jesus got to, I personally, I'm more Eastern. I don't like the Western view of give up all your possessions, take up your cross and follow me. I can't do that. I would never survive doing that. When I was homeless, it was the worst time in my entire life. And when I achieved Samadhi, it was when I was at a good job, I had a steady paycheck, I had all the food I needed, all the clothes, money, everything that I needed, just like with the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree. He was a prince. He had everything that he needed. And that's how he was able to get enlightenment. He didn't get enlightenment by being a homeless beggar bum. Now, Jesus could do that because he's the Christ. He can do pretty much anything. But that's not something that we should try to replicate for ourselves here now. I don't think that's a good idea for me to do. Someone else might want to do that. But that's how Jesus says to be perfect, if we want to be perfect. I think it's good enough just to be good. You don't necessarily have to be perfect. So then how does one be good according to Jesus? Is you follow the 10 Commandments, and you can even reduce those down to loving one another as Jesus loved his disciples, which I believe is reducible to God's infinite valuation of all beings equally. And I think that all goes hand in hand. I don't know, because I'm not God and I'm not the Christ, But that's what I believe, and I think that that's what the Sams are here to do. But I could be wrong, I probably am, and I still have to have that faith anyway because I can't know. And I'm glad that I can't know, because if I did know, then I wouldn't have any room for faith. I'd have knowledge. And then everything would just be the way it is, and I wouldn't be able to change it, and I would know all the stuff that's going to happen to me and not be able to change that either. It would be horrifying and make everything pointless, so I'm really glad that I don't know everything. But because there's no way of knowing any of this stuff for certain, we have to have faith. We have to have a finite grasp of the infinite. It is infinite. Reality is infinite, and meaning is infinite, and God is infinite. But I am finite, and so I can only have a finite piece of that infinite puzzle. I only get a tiny fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what is all out there. And that's all I will ever hope to ever have, is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of an understanding of what everything is. And that's also the only thing that I really need, because I can accept that everything is already infinitely valuable. Someone did all this stuff. I don't know how it all works. And so I can either choose to despair at that, or I can be in awe of it. But it stands the same either way. I will never know. And so I think that's why they're here.